You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
TIAA is on a mission. Why? Because 54% of Black Americans don't have enough savings to retire. So in collaboration with big-name artists like Wyclef Jean, TIAA released Paper Right, new music inspiring a new financial future. With 100% of streaming sales going to a nonprofit that teaches students how to invest. Stream Paper Right now and help close the gap.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast, or welcome to the podcast if this is your first time. I really appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy today's program. Before we get into this, I need to share kind of some bummer news, which you may have seen on the socials, but maybe not. So this is the second Kaonashi appearance on the podcast. A few weeks ago, I had August on, and now I'm talking to Alex, and this was a lot of fun. It was a really great chat. But unfortunately, the boys went on tour. They were in Anaheim, and their very, very first stop, they were getting ready to play a show that night in Anaheim at Chain Reaction, a venue they've been really looking forward to playing for years and years. And someone broke into the quote-unquote secure parking lot where their trailer was being stored that had almost all of their gear in it, and made off with the entire trailer. So not only are they out of almost all of their gear, including the drum set, the in-ears, and all that stuff, they are also out all the merch that they paid for, had made, and was planning on selling on this tour. So yeah, they really got hosed. They got hosed big time, and they could use some help if you are at all able. I'm going to put the link to their GoFundMe in the show notes. They just need a little bit of help to make this tour actually, not cost them thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you're in a position where you're able, I know they would really, really appreciate it. And again, that link is in the show notes, or if you go to any of their socials, you will find the links there as well. So with that out of the way, the chat was really great. Unfortunately, all the gear we reference in it will, most of it will not be what the setup is anymore. They'll be playing with whatever they can cobble together. And I got to give those guys props for soldiering on and making a bad situation work for them. I talked to August right as soon as I saw it posted, and their attitude was much better than mine would be, or August's attitude anyway was much better than mine would have been. And so bummer for those guys, but I think you'll get to know Alex on this one a little bit better. And if you haven't listened to the episode with August, hop over there and do that after you listen to this one. They're great people, and really enjoyed chatting with them. So without further ado, here is the episode with Alex from Kaonashi. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today I have Alex Hallquist from Kaonashi. What's going on,
guys?
dude?
Hey, how's it going? How are you?
I am, trying to... Everyone can leave me alone. That's it. Phone's going into Do Not Disturb.
Yep,
I'm tired of talking to everybody.
We've got 2 weeks before we leave for this tour, and I'm completely in over my head. It's our first time doing an in-ear rig fully, and we're trying to do direct front of house tones and stuff. So trying to set up MIDI patches. I'm over my head.
August was telling me about that when he came on. We were talking about kind of the challenges and benefits of going in-ears.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because right after I did that podcast, I did one with Buzz Osborne from the Melvins. And he was just I'm not playing with no in-ears. I want to hear the whole thing. Total old school, different approach to it. And he made some great points, but he's also never tried in-ears. So
yeah, and that's how Peter, my vocalist, is, and Peo, my drummer. They both just want to be punk rock, balls to the wall, play to the room,
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to be able to hear everybody clearly. We did one show so far with in-ears, and it was I could hear my guitarist so well, that
Mm-hmm.
normally doesn't happen ever.
Right. Yeah, I haven't done a show with them, but whenever we would practice, we'd pretty much practice. This was back when I played with the band, but we would practice full blown, as if we were playing a show.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear anything, you know? And then we adopted in-ears and like miking up the amps and running everything through headphones. It was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow. I was missing so much that I didn't realize I was missing.
Yeah, and that's what even like we're using the HX Stomp. So everything's already digital anyway, so we don't have to worry about miking or like running through a 2 notes or anything like that. We can just send everything straight XLR straight into the rig. So it kind of has been working out pretty seamlessly, but we haven't had chances to run it on the road yet. So that'll be that's its own whole monster.
Yeah. You'll get it all figured out about the time that you get home.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. You'll have it all dialed in by then. But let's tell the audience about yourself. We got August's story. Sorry, there's too many A's going on.
Yeah.
But we got August's story last time. And maybe we should get yours this time. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, I'll go from the beginning. So the way that I got into like music and performing in general, my mom was really big into plays and musicals and stuff like that when I was growing up. So starting in like first, second grade, I was doing plays and musicals, and then got into choir in middle school. And then when I was 13, I think I picked up a bass guitar because a buddy of mine got a BC Rich Warlock, and we just wanted to shred, in our basements.
Totally. Oh yeah.
So yeah. And then I kind of just picked up guitar after bass just because I wanted to keep playing. And pretty much everybody that I was like around in high school, nobody plays anymore. I just kind of was the only one that am still playing. Then I went to college and met Peter at college because our drummer at the time worked at a pizza shop, and I worked at the same pizza shop. So he came in listening to Despised Icon one time, and I was like, yo, you listen to Despised Icon? And then got to, talking back and forth. And then he's like, yeah, I'm in a band. You should come play. And then one thing led to another. I met Peter, and it's been history ever since then. So yeah. Middle school is when I started picking up guitar because of Claudio from Coheed and Cambria, and then it's kind of stuck with me ever since.
Yes, as is the tale for so many of us, right?
Yeah.
It's middle school is about the time I started picking up guitar too, and all I wanted to do was just play on stage in front of 12 amplifiers and
exactly.
blow my hair
It's like
off,
one of the only things that my parents gave me that they didn't have to tell me to practice. You know what I mean? It was like,
right.
All right, I'm in. I'm locked in my room 12 hours a day doing nothing but, playing.
Yeah, exactly. I started on piano, and while I do part of me wishes I would have stuck with it more, I can, pretend to play a little bit. My piano teacher, though, I kept bringing her like different rock songs to play that had no piano in them, and she's like, maybe you need to play guitar. Like, and it wasn't even like one of those things where it's like, you're not very good at piano, so you should play guitar instead. It was just like every song I would bring her, it was, so we would just be playing, piano chords over these rock songs. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. And I love keys and piano. Like, I probably love them more now than I did then, but she just recognized it, I guess. So I didn't really take lessons though. So I just kind of,
and that's what I always tell like all my friends that like start playing guitar. Like, my advice to them isn't like, don't go, shredding or running through scales. That's not going to make you want to play. Like, pick the easiest song you can think of that will get you stoked on guitar and learn that. Like, I think one of the first songs I learned was The Zoo by the Scorpions, and it's just like dun 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 dun, like the whole time. Like, it's the same thing the whole time. And it's like, but when you play along with it, it feels cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the very first thing that I ever like realized that I taught myself how to play by ear was Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I was just like, man, this is awesome. That's when it really hit for me. It was like, oh, guitar rules.
Yeah, I remember one of the first songs that like I was trying to learn a Zeppelin song, Over the Hills and Far Away, and I remember my mom being like, are you trying to play Led Zeppelin? And I was like, heck yes, I am. Like,
it's so awesome. Yeah, guitar's in a very interesting place right now. Even as much as, I don't know, or as recent as 4 or 5 years ago, people were like, guitar music's dying, guitar music's on its way out. There's no more rock stars, and that last part may be true, but I don't think guitar is going anywhere, not for a very long time. I feel like it's more prevalent now than it was certainly when people were having that discussion. What is your take on it?
Yeah, I feel like it's coming back into the limelight now. Like in popular music too, like Machine Gun Kelly and all these people that are now going the pop punk sort of guitar route that are still in the hip hop rap realm,
Yeah.
So like even in like the main limelight is coming in, but now you have all these like crazy instrumental guitarists like Pliny and Intervals, and like there's a guitar market for guitar heads, not just shredding, but like being able to, write hooks and melodies and lines all within your instrument, which is cool.
Yeah, I'm starting to notice a trend. I had Aaron from Intervals on here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I listened to that one. Very cool.
Oh, you did? Okay, nice. Thanks. And then I just talked to Misha from Periphery yesterday, and they both said the same thing. While they're like definitely viewed as like modern guitar heroes, neither of them view themselves that way. They both primarily see themselves as composers. And it was really interesting. Like Misha seemed, and people will hear this on the episode, he seemed pretty uncomfortable with the idea that he would be considered that. and for me, I was like trying to talk him into like, no, you should just accept it. And he's like, no, I'm paraphrasing, but
I mean, like he's one of those guys that talks about how he doesn't like know theory or apply the theory. He just does what sounds good. And I'm the same way. So like there's two very, very different realms of, how you approach guitar playing, which is cool.
100%. I mean, that's me too. I have no idea what I'm doing most of the time. I just like put finger on fretboard, press.
Yeah.
Yay. Oh, that's the wrong spot.
Yeah.
No, that's the right spot.
Yeah. Like, do you know the letters? Like, no, I only know the fret numbers. That's fine.
I know the cowboy chords.
Yeah.
I can tell you what a G is.
Yeah. Like I learned the gauge system, but it's like, I only know that like in that sense. Like when now I'm on a 7-string, it's like all that theory's out the window. It's all gone.
Right. It's just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
But I can tell you what chip is in my delay pedal, so that'll tell you where my time went. Oh,
exactly.
Boy.
Yeah.
So as far as gear goes, like, what was your journey like in regards to that?
Well, the first amp that I got was, the crappy Marshall MG10 that everybody had, and then I got a Digitech Hothead Distortion. And that was like the first thing that I was able to like stomp on a button and, play. Like it was like this magic box that like made everything better, and
totally
that like, I don't know. I feel like my tone search started the second that my guitar playing started, because it was like, how do I get that sound from Rush? Like I didn't know what a chorus pedal was at the time. It's like
totally.
What is that sound? How do I even search for that? So just over the years I've been picking up gear, and then when I started playing more live shows consistently, I bought a Line 6 Pod HD Pro just because it was easier to run that than run a bunch of pedals and a head and have to take time setting up. Because when you're like the first guy on a bill on a 10-band show, when you're first starting out, it's like you have 30 seconds to get your gear on and off the stage, and you better be able to do it quickly, and it better work immediately. So yeah, now I'm getting back into like more boutique pedals, and I would like to run a head live, but I'm still running the Stomp Live, like I said. But I have a 5150, the EVH EL34 50 watt, which is super fun. Love it.
Yes.
But bringing a head is its own whole thing on stage. So yeah, just kind of running everything from the board, including the power amp. Got a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, it's really incredible, and this gets brought up over and over again on this show. The difference between about the time that you and I started playing and the like low end, and I wouldn't say just low end, though it definitely applies to entry level stuff as well, but like how good the sounds are in the digital realm now. Yeah. It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's so insane to imagine that you could, buy a couple plugins or get some free ones, plug in direct and have way better sounds recorded than either of us could ever have imagined as teenagers.
And people have been saying that since, the red bean pods, but it's like you go back to that now and you're like, what is this? So I'm sure 5-10 years from now, it's going to happen again, 10 times over.
Yeah. So I see that with the red bean pod. I had I was pretty young, but I had a boss that was like, found out I liked guitar, and he was really into guitar as well. And so he let me take home like this super nice Gibson gold top reissue just to borrow for a weekend. And then he's like, you're gonna really want to try this too. And he got the red bean pod and handed it to me. And I was like, okay. I mean, the Gibson was amazing, But I was going through that pod, and I'm like, this isn't what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
You know, even then I knew it was like, this guitar is awesome. This is not there yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And especially like when it's your first time dealing with like a digital modeler like that. Like I think the first one that I had was a Boss GT10. And it was like, when I first got it, it was like, man, I can't make this thing sound good. But then once you start like thinking about it like a real pedal board and like actually building a full pedal board inside of itself, it starts to make more sense. And then you get to be able to build real pedal boards, and it makes sense to you because you knew how to do it in the digital world, you know?
Right. We've talked a lot about your live setup. When you go into record, what does it look like? I
mean, the past 2 records, we just used a Kemper, but we also brought a bunch of pedals to play with that we put in front of that. Like we used the Digitech Whammy a bunch, or just like different overdrives and flangers and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's just been digital. I would love to go into like a full studio with like all kinds of gear and like bring our heads and stuff, but logistically, it just made sense to do the digital thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now you can do that and actually pull off a legit record, which is just insane.
Yeah.
I think you probably heard me talking to August about the If I Die First record and how it made me so sad.
Yeah.
Like oh,
you find out it's all plugins. Yeah.
It's all plugins. I was like, all plugins, all programmed drums.
The Pliny Sunhead EP, he said something. He used the Line 6 Helix Native plugin, and that's it for all the guitar and bass tones on that EP. And I was like, man, like I've had that thing forever. I don't know how he's getting these tones out of it, you know?
Yeah, you just got to sit down and go down the deeply nerdy rabbit hole, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, try every single one of the 1,000 amps they have in there.
Of course. Oh, man. I haven't messed with the Helix Native. Really, the only digital stuff I've spent a lot of time with is the STL Tones amp plugins. That's all I've messed with so far. And I'm like, this is... feel like I'm cheating or something.
Yeah,
it's making it too easy.
Yeah, that's how for August and I have gotten pretty partial to the neural DSP stuff. Like definitely for bass, we use the neural parallax every time, and then we kind of bounce between the neural Gojira and the Kali and the Pliny and Nolly. We like buy them and share licenses, you know. So we kind of just have like all of them for the band to use.
Right, totally. That's man, I got to get into some of the neural stuff. Doug from Neural/Dark Glass is supposed to come on the podcast here pretty soon. We've been trying to do it a few times and we've had to reschedule, but it will happen one of these days. I want to pick that guy's brain.
I'm sure with all the Quad Cortex stuff. August and I we both have our pre-order in for the Quad Cortex, so we'll probably be switching to that in 2022.
Have a whole new thing to learn. So what guitars are you primarily playing today?
I got 2 during the quarantine, brand new. So I got a Jericho Fusion Evertune, which is it's like a telly body shape. It's like a normal scale length, but because it's got the Evertune, I thought that'd be fine to drop into our low tunings and still be able to hold everything well. And it's been working out really great. You know, I love it. And then I also got the PRS Mark Holcomb 7-string, which I've been kind of trying to stay away from buying signature guitars because I feel like it's kind of a cop out, but guitar feels so great, man. I can't beat it.
What are the specs on that thing?
I think it's a 27-inch scale length, and then it's got his signature Seymour Duncan Alpha and Omega pickups in it, and it's a walnut body. They're both walnut bodies.
Cool. Very cool. The Evertune, that is not something I have any experience with. And I know it's a very divisive subject, but you seem to like it?
Yeah, our engineer, Evan Sammons, we record with him up in Maine. He's in a band, Last Chance to Reason. He does a lot of work with Jamie King. We went up to him, and he had this Halo guitar that had an Evertune, and he's like, you guys can try to use this for parts of the record if you want. And just it made a lot of things so much easier because you can set it to, you can lock it to just be completely in tune, or you can make it pretty easy to bend also. So the way I have it set live is that my lower end is pretty locked, but my higher strings are pretty bendy. So if we do like any sort of leady solo-y kind of stuff, I can still bend around up there. But then the low end, if I hit really hard, it's not going to, bow super far out of tune or anything like that. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't realize you could do it individually like that. I thought it was one way or the other.
Yeah, no, you could do each string. It's kind of got like a pendulum that once it gets close enough to the bridge, then you can then it's bendable. So if you bring it back, then it never gets close enough to the bridge to bend. So you just need to get it close enough that it's in that right zone.
I think a lot of people who listen to the show probably know what an Evertune is, but I don't think it's quite commonplace enough that they do. So maybe explain that for people.
So it's a hardtail bridge that will completely lock your guitar note completely in tone. So no matter how far you bend it, no matter, you could like hold the guitar by the strings and it'll still be completely in tune because it like automatically resets the tension. I don't know. It's some magic wizardry to me, honestly, but it holds tune really well, even in low tunings. And then they have a like a string tension calculator. Like I guess they have different bridges for if you're like really, really low tuned or if you're a lighter gauge. They have different saddles for depending on what your tension is that you need. So,
okay.
Yeah, you can like replace.
Isn't it like a spring
saddles.
system inside of it of some sort?
Yeah. And it's like the same thing with a Floyd Rose. You can kind of hear the springs like inside the body of the guitar while you're strumming, you know? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't come out of the output, obviously, at all, but you can sort of hear that there's stuff moving around in there.
Interesting. I've got to play one. I'm definitely not going to sacrifice a guitar to like mod it to have one, but
yeah,
I really want to play a guitar that has one in it.
Yeah.
So I talked to August about your guys' writing process, and we're going to refer to that episode a lot because obviously they're in the same band.
Yeah,
so
totally.
If you haven't listened to that episode, go back and listen to that. Then this one might make more sense. But it seems like you two are pretty well meshed up in how you guys create. Can you explain that from your perspective?
Yeah, so I was already in the band, and I was doing pretty much all the writing for the Native and X Prayers and Never Home EPs. I pretty much did all of the writing for that. August joined in that Never Home time period. So once he joined, I started going to his house and we were writing together. So he started writing some guitar parts and then I would sort of rearrange it, or he would take parts that I wrote and then restructure them or tell me like, oh, we need a bridge here, or oh, we need, something to get us back to this part or whatever. Because I'm kind of more of a guy that just writes riffs. I will just sit and write riffs, and I'll just make a riff salad song, and it's not going to make any sense. And August thinks more from like a production engineering standpoint, where he's like, oh, like you need a peak and valley here. You can't just have it flat the whole, going 100% the whole time. So our styles work really, really well together because we both just like to, pick each other's brains and write sections, and then help each other, guide each other where we would like to go. Peter and Pale, like we said before, they're more of a punk rock style. They would like to just all be in a room together and just go. But when you're writing parts that are in like 11/4 or like bounce between 7 and 5/4, like there's no way to just do that on the fly. So right. I like to be able to like structure it out via MIDI, and then we give it to the band, and then everybody kind of jams on it in a room, and then we decide, oh, like let's change this part or let's add a lead here. I think it makes it easier to start with a bass and then go into the live room aspect.
Yeah. In my experience, there was always like how we would do it is there would be one person would go write it. It was either me or generally my friend Leon. And it was one of us too. And then we would come back with the band and like flesh it out. Mm-hmm. Like get the skeleton, there. So we kind of knew where it was going. Because if we just tried to do it, all at once, it was never as good as having somebody's kind of full vision realized. There was one song where I had like a bunch of different chord progressions, but they didn't really gel together very well. So it took the drummer took and wrote lyrics, and then my friend Jess, who's been on the show before, actually made them work melodically with my weird chord progression I'd figured out.
Yeah.
The song ended up pretty cool, but the final step was bringing it to the band and playing it all together and realizing it was cool structurally, but it was boring.
Yeah.
And then I just randomly came up with a riff, which is the intro to this podcast.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I literally, when I was trying to think of, what would be a nice little, jingle to have at the podcast, I was like, wait a minute. And I just clipped that out of the song.
You're like, I already got
dropped it in. Yeah, there it is. That'll work. I don't have to license nothing. So yeah, it's a funny story. A lot of people don't know that's where it came from, but that is the story of the
very cool. So is that song out like elsewhere? Is it like on Spotify so you can listen to it as a full song, not just the intro?
Yeah, you can listen to the whole album. The band at the time was called Anchor Ashore, and we're all still friends and stuff, but we just, kind of have varying degrees of interest in music at this point. And
Anchor Ashore, that sounds like super melodic hardcore. What kind of music was it?
It's like 90s alternative stuff. Yeah, we very intentionally were trying to make a 90s record with that.
Yeah.
There's a fly on the camera.
Yeah. I was like, I just saw that. I saw like the screen blacked out. I was like, what just happened?
Get out of here. That's a first, I gotta say. I don't think I've seen that before. But Anchor Ashore, of course, that came we're all obsessed with Thrice. And so, of course, I managed to squeeze a Thrice reference into, because that's a piece of one of their songs.
Yeah.
It's How Can I Leave When My Anchor Is Ashore? And we found it wasn't taken, so we're like, that's it, I guess. That's what we're going to go with. Because we were trying to come up with a better name, because this was actually like a somewhat serious project for us. Because we had been just joking around, and we named ourselves Gravy Train after the bag of Gravy Train dog food that was laying on the floor. And so we're just trying to make it a little less dumb than that.
Yeah, man. I know all about dumb band. My first band in high school was named You'd Make a Cute Girl. And it was just like the dumbest scene. Like, we were basically in a Graceful ripoff band, or like Moss to Flames. Like, it was
right. What a weird time to go to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was a strange.
Killing me.
What the fly's back? Is that Jeff Goldblum? Like, what's going on here? Anyway, but it was a weird time looking back to go to school. Like, I feel like only in certain pockets of history, like, do you have an entire genre or quote unquote scene like take over the youth in such a weird and obvious way. It was so strange to me. I went to a fairly large high school, and I've referenced this before, but like one night, literally half the high school went to the Anti-Flag show, and it was like jocks and punks and
maybe 20 kids from my high school knew who Anti-Flag was.
Really?
I mean, I went to a pretty small high school. There were I had like 120 kids in my class, so
okay.
There were a decent amount of kids that listened to like metal and hardcore and stuff, but it was more the like surface level stuff. Nobody really dove deep or went to like local shows too often or anything like that.
Right.
I was going to see like Horse the Band and Dr. Acula, you know?
Horse the Band. Oh man, the Nintendo core.
Yeah.
I love Horse the Band. That's so great. So was it what part of the world did you grow up in?
I was like an hour north of Philly, Lehigh Valley area, so Allentown, Pennsylvania, right around there.
Okay.
The town I grew up in was called Catasauqua, which I'm sure nobody has ever heard of.
Catasauqua? I'm not even sure I can say.
Yeah, it's I think it's Iroquois, some kind of Indian word.
Okay, got it. So who do you draw inspiration from these days? We were talking about a lot of past stuff, but how about now?
Yeah, I mean, Coheed has been like a constant inspiration to me since I was in 7th grade, probably. But newer stuff, Tesseract has been huge for me. Or our old drummer, German, introduced me to Meshuggah in like 2014. And I had never, like, that was one of those bands that I thought like, oh, like, I'm not going to like them, you know, for some reason. And then as soon as I started listening to them, it was like, I couldn't get enough. And I just constantly listened to them. Same thing with John Brown from Monuments has been a huge influence on the way that I play guitar. Mark from Veil of Maya, when I was like initially getting into metal, was a huge influence on the way that I play guitar. Yeah, it's hard for me to say because when we get into like a writing aspect, I purposely don't listen to music. I will just not listen to anything at all. But
really,
yeah, I'll just try and like a lot of people are the opposite. Like they'll listen to as much as they can, but I try not to listen to anything because I feel like it's going to influence what I'm doing. Like even when we were recording this last album, pretty much the only thing I listened to like on the way to and from the studio was Rush, Moving Pictures, because it was one of those albums that like I've listened to a million times over. It's already influenced me as much as it's going to, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So other than that, Sleep Token is a band that I've been really, really big into. And then bands like Loathe and Thornhill. A lot of stuff from George Lever, the producer guy. Really, really digging his work. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I've talked to anybody that purposely tries not to listen to stuff during the writing process.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just listen to podcasts and that's it.
podcasts are a very good thing to listen to. Everyone should listen to podcasts.
Yeah, listen to more podcasts.
Yeah, listen to all the listen to all of the Tone Mob
The Chasing
episodes.
Tone one is sweet too.
Oh, you've been liking that one?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm super into the YouTube pedal world. I know August was talking about it, like the JHS show. I watch that at our house pretty much every day, and then Brian Wampler has that whole channel that has all kinds of stuff. So it's been, I don't know, the past couple of years, I've been really digging into that whole side of things.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the JHS show that I loved doing that. I don't know if you caught that episode or not.
Yeah,
but
you did the Russian one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know what to expect, honestly, and I was a little bit nervous. Not because like I'm used to talking on the internet. That wasn't really the issue, but I hadn't played with anyone in like 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like-
I'm not much of a jammer, you know?
Yeah, so I was not sure how that was going to go. I flubbed a few things here and there, but overall I'm okay with it. But I was actually nervous about the jams.
Yeah.
I kind of played it cool. They're like, "You going to be cool to jam?" I'm like, "Yeah,
dude. Yeah,
yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fine."
Yeah, it always
I was
blows me away how like easily they can just jam. Like every live video, they just play a song, and I'm like, that could be a song. Like I would listen to that on the radio, you know?
Oh, definitely. No, Josh gives himself he doesn't give himself enough credit. You know, he's got 90s riffs for days, and honestly, Nick's a great drummer, and he's a really fun personality to have on the show. But I think Addison, he doesn't get enough credit.
I agree because they were talking on one of the shows recently how like they need to like get everything ready right before the podcast starts, and I was thinking like, man, they put a pedal board together every show, and like Addison, I know is the guy that's like everything needs to be nice and straight on the board and like perfect, and I can imagine him just like losing his mind, and Josh is just throwing pedals at him, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. When we were setting up for the Russian one, it was like, Josh is just like pulling pedals out of nowhere, and he's like, "Here, just put this on the table." I'm like, "Just randomly?" He's like, "Yes." So we're just throwing all these old Soviet pedals. And yeah, it was a fun experience. I would like to go back and do it again now, knowing how it's set up and how it's dialed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how is the pedal room? Like, is it overwhelming to just see the wall of pedals, like the Klon shelf?
It was amazing. It's so cool to go in there, but really the videos make it look bigger than it is.
Yeah,
it's probably about the same size as the Shred Shed, which is about 305 square feet, I think is what I measured it at. It might be a little bit bigger than that, and it's definitely oriented in a more square fashion, where this is like a big hall. But it's not really that big. It's just full.
Yeah,
just like completely full. Somebody asked me after I was on there on Instagram how many pedals I thought were in there, and I guessed about 2,000. And then Josh chimed in the comments and said, "No, it's 4,000." I was like, "What?"
4,000.
You see the walls,
I got like
right?
20. I think that's too many. Yeah.
Yeah, but you see the walls, but then all the drawers are full too.
Yeah.
All of those IKEA drawers underneath, they're all completely full. It is absolutely insane. But as far as overwhelming, it wasn't really overwhelming for me because I'm not that far gone, but I also have an obscene amount of pedals for one guy. Like, it's really dumb.
Yeah.
Like I stopped counting after I realized I had over 200. I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
I can
obscene.
see myself getting to that point. I know August mentioned on the last thing, but one of the podcasts that I listen to all the time is these guys called the Minimalists, and I've been like sort of trying to follow their guidelines and kind of pare down a lot of my stuff. So if I have gear that I see myself not using for like over a year, I try to sell it and pick up something new. But there's like certain things, like the Pod XT Pro rack, I've kept that forever. I have like a old Boss equalizer pedal that I bought in high school that I've kept forever. Like there's certain pedals that I feel like I'm just going to keep and hold on to, until I die.
Yeah, the minimalist thing sounds really appealing, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because I can in other aspects of my life, no problem. Like I don't need a whole lot of stuff. I don't need like a whole lot of shirts or whatever. I have a lot of t-shirts from the gear world because that's just what happens.
Yeah, it's
you go to
anytime
NAMM
we play
and get a bunch of
tours or
shirts.
shows with bands, I'm like, let me grab a shirt,
Yeah, exactly. So I got a lot of that, but I don't need just a ton of stuff But the gear is where that is a major exception to that rule. Where I'm just like, give it all to me. But I do use, it sounds kind of weird, but I do use most of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, especially like in the field that you're in, where like you just talk about gear all the time. Like I'm just playing music. You're talking about gear, you know?
Right. Yeah. I busted out my whammy for the first time in a long time yesterday.
Yeah.
And I use it completely different now than I ever did before. And arguably a lot better just because I understand music better than when I first got the whammy.
Yeah.
But I was like, I forgot how amazing this pedal is.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've had this in the drawer for a year. You know?
Yeah, we used one of those on our record, and I was thinking about getting one to put on the board, but it takes up so much space. So I got like in the stomp, I have an expression pedal that is controlling a pitch. So I'm like, does the job well enough for the stage. That's all that matters.
That'll work. That'll work. Yeah, that's something that Misha was talking about, and yeah, that'll have aired before this comes out, so we're good. He was talking about like everything about performing live for him is just a compromise.
Yeah.
It's just like what's going to work, what's going to get the point across.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's stuff that's going to sound better, like, and then that's going to happen, forever into the future. Like the amp that you bring on tour now, there's going to be a better one a couple years from now, like you can't always just go for the absolute best. Sorry, I keep looking. I have my pedal board on the floor over here. I just keep looking at it. But yeah, like sometimes you kind of have to compromise and make the best of what you've got and make it sound best for the situation you're in.
Yeah, because he was talking specifically about the Axe FX 2. That's what they use, and he's like, "There's the 3 out, and it is way better. Like, and I know that it would improve things for him for." But for the audience, he's like, it's not going to change that much. And if we get it, we're going to have to spend 2 weeks reprogramming and redoing everything.
Yeah.
When the 2 is fine for live. It's just a perspective I hadn't really considered. Like, oh, yeah, I guess live is just live. I mean, you want to put on the best show you can, but you also have to do it every night, and you have to do it, consistently and be dialed and be tight and be professional. And sometimes I hate to say it, but the tone has to take a little bit of a back seat to function.
Yeah. And like once you get to that point that you've, done a few hundred shows and you're at that point with your gear that it feels locked in and tight and sounds good and sounds the way you want, it's reacting the way you want. Like, why would you change it? If it's good to you now, keep it, roll with it.
Yeah. I'm a glorified bedroom player, so I have the luxury of playing a completely different rig at any time, but I'm not doing that in front of anyone or on the road.
Yeah,
so
and that's why I even say this, like, keep the gear you have, and then I bought 2 pedals this week. I'm going to buy a Morning Glory after this podcast, so like I don't...
We keep talking about the JHS show, but that's where I found you guys. I was literally by myself in an Airbnb, and I don't know if it was a Instagram, like, explore page thing, or if somebody posted you guys somewhere, but
that's crazy.
It was literally while I was there. And I was like, what's this band? This is interesting.
We knew one of our friends, Juan, I think he was building at JHS for a while. And that's what August and I were talking. I was like, man, I wonder how Blake found out about us. Cause like, I don't know. It's crazy that you said it happened at JHS. And it's like, we have like all these weird like relations with it, but like not there,
Right. Yeah. I was just and it really had nothing to do with JHS. I just remember that cause I'm not usually by myself. I'm not good at being alone. So I was just by myself in my Airbnb waiting for the morning.
I mean, that's the best time to explore for new music too, when that's all you got.
Yep. And then I dove in and I really enjoyed it. It's a different take on, the whole math. I don't know what you would even call it. Like, it's such a hard thing.
We keep like changing and going by different. Right now, I think we're going by emo mathcore, but for a while we were calling ourselves progressive hardcore. It's like Peter's vocal style is so hardcore oriented that like we couldn't call ourselves like metal because metalheads would be like, that's not metal, But then like our guitars are so like more like on the gent side of things or metalcore side of things that hardcore kids are like, oh, they're not a hardcore band, and it's
right. And
then we have clean parts and everybody's confused. So.
Yeah, but it all jives. I really enjoy the melting pot that has came together. It's a different thing, and that's what struck me about it. I think it was like a video clip that somehow popped up. I was like, what is this? I click on it, and it was like, whoa, I've never heard anything like this before. Let's let's dive in a little bit.
And that's what you need, you need something unique about you. You can't just like make a band and be like, oh, I want to sound like this band, and then write their riffs again. You know, like that's not going to work. You need like something. That's why I don't like to like listen to music while I'm trying to write, because I would like to just make it all just come from my head somehow.
That is such an interesting approach to me, because I definitely use music to inspire me to write. But it wasn't until this year that I was able to just be comfortable just making stuff that doesn't sound anything like what I'm listening to. But I definitely I'll listen to like Jason Isbell and then go make some sort of weird, cinematic horror movie soundtrack, and the two don't really have anything to do with each other other than I'm just inspired by like creative people doing cool things, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's because I've never been able to sound anything like my musical heroes at all. So I just finally had to just throw in the towel and be like, I guess I'm some weird pedal guy. That's what
even if you buy the same gear, you're not going to sound the same. So
no.
Yeah.
No. It never happens. Never ever happens. You said you keep looking over there at your pedal board. What are you spying on?
Ready?
Right
I'll just lift the whole thing up.
He's going for it.
This week. So here it is. I don't know if I can fit the whole thing on the camera. So the HX Stomp kind of controls everything, and then I use the 805 and the BEOD as my main drive and dirt channels. And I have a Morningstar MC6 that MIDI controls everything. And then I've got the Source Audio Collider is MIDI controlled by that. So depending on which song I'm at, it's MIDI map tempoed and stuff like that. And then, I've got the Source Audio EQ2 up here, which is like my favorite new release pedal. It's incredible. It's got
that thing's
2 signal
cool.
pass. It's got gates built in. It's got all kinds of stuff. And then I run to Seymour Duncan Power Stage over here and out to the front of house and 2 cabs.
Don't ignore that beautiful little DOD on there.
Oh, yeah, the stereo flanger. That thing is amazing. Flanger, man. Yeah, and then I'm using the JHS Whitey Tighty compressor, and that thing, killer. I have the JHS Unicorn on there right now, but I'm actually going to switch that out for a Digitech Freakout pedal, because we have certain parts in our set where that like sustained feedback thing will help me out a bunch.
The Freakout is underrated.
I've never played with one. I got it. It's actually in New Jersey at our house right now, so I'm going to play with it tonight or tomorrow.
Dude, it is so cool. And it's not just the feedbacker thing. It's not just that. You can use it to like sustain notes in a way that you can't normally. Yeah. Like you can really get creative with that thing. It is so dope, and nobody talks about it. I don't know why nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it on some pretty big like I think Steve Vai had it on his board for a while. It's like, it's a neat thing. I can't wait to play with it. Yeah,
you're going to like it. It's a lot of fun. Just definitely give it some time and explore the territory, because you'll be able to do some weird stuff. I think you'll find pretty inspirational.
Yeah, because I was thinking about trying to set up different patches that would turn my gates off and then like boost my signal, so I'd be able to have a better sustain and like turn up the compressor a little bit. But it was like, why do all this different routing when I could just hold the button down on one pedal and
and let it whee. Yeah, such a satisfying thing. And why did it take so long? For somebody to come up with that idea.
Yeah, I felt the same way when that Ricochet pedal that they did came out. It was like, you could now MIDI automate a whammy, basically. And I was like, man, so many bands can benefit from that, because a lot of bands use the whammy for the same thing. That like double octave up, like just do that with the pedal. It'll automatically.
Yeah. I'll have to ask Tom about that. Tom from Spiral Effects, he's been on the podcast before, but he was the guy at the end of the DoD Digitech thing. I mean, you know about that, right? Like how they're not really. Yeah, okay. I think most of the listeners do too, but
for those I watched that don't, the pedal movie. I bought it.
Yeah, you okay? All right, you know. So for those that don't, though, Digitech and DoD are kind of on the way out. Seemingly, they were bought by Harman, which is owned by Samsung, and Samsung basically said, "We don't care about any of this stuff. We don't make hardly any money on it, so why would we care?" And they closed it down. They laid off all of the Utah staff. Tom was the head of that, and Tom is a brilliant dude with really great ideas, and now is making pedals under Spiral Effects. For anybody who doesn't know that, go back and listen to his episode. But I'm concerned that we're not going to have any more freakouts. I'm concerned that we're not going to be able to get some of those more rad.
Who's going to be the one to pick up, you know?
Yeah. Have you played the Rubberneck?
No.
Oh, dude.
Never even heard of it, honestly.
The DoD Rubberneck is one of the coolest analog delays out there.
Oh, okay.
It was, I think they were originally selling it for like $260. And then as the shutdown of Digitech has started happening, they started blowing them out first for like $160, and then at one point they were selling them for like $99. You could get them for $100. And Tom was like, we couldn't even make them for $100. He was like, we were selling them for $260 and barely making enough money to keep them around at that level. So he's like, they're just absolutely liquidating that stuff. But if you see a Rubberneck really for any price, I would not be mad at it for $260.
All right, good to know. Yeah, I'll keep an eye out.
Great pedal. Yeah, great pedal. Super cool features. The Rubberneck, where it gets its name, is it'll do, I don't know exactly what it's doing, but it has a switch called the Rubberneck, and you step on it, and the repeats go, it's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah, it's definitely a sound, you know? Like,
yeah. And that's pretty much what it sounds like. Like Scooby-Doo. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is a really gear-based episode. Sometimes this show goes off into the weeds real quick.
I wish I had more friends that I could just talk gear with, you know? Like,
you can call me anytime. We'll talk gear. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out all of the gear problems. It's amazing how through doing this podcast, you know, and like it's a blend of, you know, builders and artists and stuff that come on at this point. And now a lot of the artists will like call me and be like, hey, do you know this builder? I have a question about this. And I'm like, yeah, I know this builder. And then I'll have to like, hey, is it okay if I give this guy your number? Oh yeah, sure. Give him my number. And I've become this weird like interface of people.
Yeah. So do people like ask you for recommendations too? You're like their guitar caddy. They're like, oh, what should I use for this type of distortion?
I'm the guitar caddy. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. Like, this is a long time ago at this point, but when Frank Iero was in town and he wanted to try like some Bensons and some of my stuff, and so I brought it out to him and I was explaining a bunch of different stuff that like how some of these weird pedals worked and whatever. He was like, are you a tone consultant? Is that a job? Is tone consultant a job? I was like, if it is,
should be a job.
I want to be that person. Yeah, hire me for your next record, everyone. I'm available. Reasonable rates. I will be your tone consultant.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, man. Let's see here. How much time we got? Ooh, we're getting a little bit close. So, before we dive into the classic questions and all that jazz, I do like to give people the opportunity to, you know, thank their great aunt or, you know, say whatever they want to say, plug whatever they want to plug, you know, and this is your opportunity to do that. So what do you want to tell the people?
All right. Yeah, we got, when is this episode going to air?
I don't know. I have a lot in the can right now. So probably 3 weeks or so, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, so it'll be starting on September 13th, we have shows going up till Halloween. So if you're anywhere in the country, we'll be able to hit somewhere within a couple hours of you. Because we're starting in California, we're hitting Texas, Florida, going up the East Coast, hitting Canada, we're hitting everywhere. So if you're looking to come out and see a show, let us know. We got something near you. Give us a message. We'll tell you the closest show to your house, you know? And
Portland?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Come see a show or go see another show. Don't even come see us. Go to a local show. Go see someone. Support your stages.
Yeah. Buy a t-shirt. Do something.
Yeah. Do something.
Are you coming to Portland?
What?
Are you coming to Portland?
I think we're doing Seattle, but not. Oh no, we are doing Portland. We're doing Portland.
You are?
Yeah.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah.
Holler at your boy.
Yeah.
You know?
August is actually, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but August is playing double duty that night because Hail the Sun's bassist is.
That's right. That's
so
right.
August has to play 2 sets in one night, so he's gonna have a rough day.
He did say that. That I knew. Okay, I knew that. I knew you were coming to Portland. My brain is not good right now, but yes, I remember that. He's playing 2 sets. He said he had to learn like 17 songs or something.
17 songs. Yeah.
Oh man,
August
that's
killer,
gnarly.
though. He's had to pull stuff off like that before. He can definitely do it.
Yeah, he's the man. He can handle it.
Yeah.
I can tell. He's got that. He's got that ethic, that work ethic that we should all strive to have, and all that jazz. But yeah, man. Cool. So go see a show. And oh, wait a minute. I looked at the time wrong. We got time. What am I talking about? I thought I was almost to wrap up.
I'm just here until I start practicing with my band, so I'll just keep talking, man.
Okay, we'll just keep going. So on that, like, what is the best venue you've ever played?
Man, that's a tough one, because it's like, do I go with one that's like nostalgic and feels good for me, or do I go with one that's like technically the best? Because we're playing our first show on this tour is Chain Reaction, and that's one of those venues that I've always wanted to play, so I feel like that's gonna be my favorite. But right now, I'd probably say the Black Sheep in Colorado, because it's got a really good vibe. Their sound guy is awesome. He like deals with you really well. Like, we went on one of our first tours there, and he was like, "Hey, like one of your guitar cabs is out of phase," and he like told me that it was out of phase, showed me how to fix it, and then I went into my pod and fixed it, and it was like everything was fine. It was like that kind of stuff is super crucial and definitely makes you remember the venue. So like, aside from anything else, I'm gonna go with Black Sheep because of that guy.
Okay, I like it. You don't get that very often.
Yeah,
that is a sound guy dedicated to his craft.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Yeah.
Most people are like, yeah, sounds all right. Like, you're miking my head.
Yeah, and like I was the only guitarist, so like I was running to two cabs for no reason, basically, and he still pinpointed it, and I was like, all right, he could have just taken the mic from one cab and called it a day.
Right. Black Sheep in Colorado. Shout out Black Sheep in Colorado.
100%.
Nice. So usually I save this question for the Patreon, but I think this would be a fun thing to explore. What's the weirdest tour story you have that won't get you thrown in jail?
Man, what is something weird that happened? All right, so there was one time that we were playing in Miami or Tampa, somewhere in Southern Florida, and we had a girl photographer for the other band that we were on tour with, Fever War. If you don't listen to Fever War, go listen to Fever War. In our van, and we were just kind of hanging out, like chilling on the street, you know, doing whatever, just hanging out in the van before the show started. And there was another van across the street that were definitely trying to get this girl from our van and take her into their van. And we like spotted that there was this weird thing going on. The guy was like pointing at her and pointing at us, like we should have known what was going on. And we just got in the van and left. And like, that was one of the first times on tour that I was like, that could have gone really, really wrong, you know?
That's creepy, man.
Yeah.
Like, was he like trying to be like, give me that girl?
Basically.
Like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah. And I was like, we were
man.
like, Kenzie, get in the van. We're leaving. Like, we're out of here.
That's so creepy.
Yeah.
That is one of the creepiest things I've ever heard. Like, you were supposed to just like he's done this before, and this is like some thing that dudes do. Like, we just.
Yeah, it was almost like he expected us to know and be like, yeah, here's this girl, you know? Like,
yeah, just take her.
Take her.
Like, what?
Yeah. So
I hope something not great happens to that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And then they correct their ways. You know, I'm trying to be very nice. That is horrible.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of that before.
Definitely weird. That's the first thing that I thought of when you said that. I was like, I remember feeling very weird after that.
Where did you say this was?
I think it was Tampa. It might have been Miami, but I think it was Tampa.
Of course, you know who that was.
Who?
Florida Man.
Oh yeah, the Florida.
It was Florida Man. Of course, it couldn't have occurred anywhere else. It was definitely Florida Man. Oh man, what a nightmare. That is so crazy. Do you guys do the whole van thing, or how are you guys traveling?
Yeah, so we have a Chevy Express 3500. It's a 15 passenger van. So what we do is we have two benches in the front so that people can like sit upright while we're driving, and then we have bunks behind that, so we can sleep 4 people in the bunks and then 2 people on the benches. And we usually bring a photographer and a merch person with us, so we have either 6 or 7 people with us at any time. So somebody kind of gets either sleeping in one of the co-pilot seats up front, or they're sleeping on the ground next to one of the benches. But yeah, we try to make it so that everybody has a full spot that they can lay down, because it's never fun when you have just benches and like you're trying to sit upright in the pilot seats, and you have to play a show the next day and you're just beat It's not worth it. So yeah, we did the bunk thing, and then we've kind of been rolling with that ever since. Actually, I need to build the bunks for this tour. We tossed our old bunks and we never built the new ones. So that's what I'm doing this weekend.
So I want to spit something at you that I heard that the I Am Legend guys do, or I Am Legend. He is Legend.
Yeah, I was like, he's Legend. All right.
He is Legend. Yeah, I love that band. What am I doing? I'm mixing up Will Smith movies. Anyway, and I think this is a great idea. If it works in the vicinity that you're traveling to, they will actually go, not every night, but they'll go try to find a KOA near where they play. Because it's like $25 a night or something. Like you don't want to be, spending hotel money when you're, in this stage.
Yeah.
But they'll go try to find a KOA, and then everybody can take a shower, have a nice place to spread out and chill, and it's not crazily expensive.
If you bring a tent and you have a personal space, you don't have any privacy on tour ever, the most privacy you're getting is while you're in the bathroom, so if you could have a tent to yourself to sleep in just for one night, that would be some luxury.
Yeah. And well, then some of those places have little cabins, they're just not that much. And then even further, even if you can't find a KOA, there's certain places, at least around here, that have yurts, and you can just pull up and dive in there. Again, you wouldn't want to do it every night. It'd be a definite luxury. But when I heard them say that, I was like, why do I never hear bands talking about KOA campgrounds?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of camping anyway, so that I would think that'd be fun. It would just be road tripping,
Yeah, dude, and you could roast hot dogs and whatever.
Yeah. We usually do bring a Coleman camping grill, and we try to cook as much as we can on tour, but it's hard to do that. Hard to find time and space to do that.
It's the thing is, you never know. Some days you roll into town and you have all day.
Yeah.
And then some days you roll into town and you're sound check in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Sometimes sound checks at noon. Sometimes it's not till 6 o'clock at night. It's are you driving right after the show, or are you sleeping after the show and driving in the morning? It's
yeah. It's rough, man. I'm not tough enough for that. I knew that. I love music. I know that. I just knew from an early age. I was I can't handle that tour life. I don't even like road trips.
Yeah. Yeah.
different wiring, I suppose. You gotta be tough to be out on the road.
Yeah, it's definitely a different breed of person to be on the road. Definitely not for everybody. And even even the shower thing, we all a couple of us get Planet Fitness memberships so that we can shower while we're on the road, and that works. And we've been sleeping in Walmart parking lots for the past couple of years, but I guess Walmart isn't they're not 24 hours anymore since COVID, and they're not allowing overnight parking either. So
really,
usually we would sleep there, and then you could go in the middle of the night and use the bathroom or grab some food or whatever you want. And now that's out the window. So we got to plan our routes a little more.
I did not know that. I just assumed that would be a forever thing. Camping in the Walmart parking lot. Yeah, that's a rite of passage.
I'm sure you could still get away with it. I just saw some articles about it, and Walmart changed their policy, but I'm sure you could still sleep in the parking lot.
Right.
We'll get away.
They're probably not going to tow you, most likely.
Yeah, especially if we're in the van. We'll get up, we'll leave. Actually, I have another weird story. There was a time in Houston we were on tour with a band named Bungler, right? And we were parked right next to them, literally right next to them, outside of a Planet Fitness. And somebody got in the driver's seat of their van and kidnapped them. Just drove away with them sleeping in the van. And their photographer.
Did they know there were people in there?
No. Their photographer was inside of Planet Fitness, and he came up and knocked on our window. He's like, "Yo, Bungler left without me." And I was like, "What do you mean they left without you?" We looked out the window. Bungler wasn't there anymore. And then we called them, and they were like, "Dude, some guy just kidnapped us." I guess he jumped in the car, drove, and then the guys woke up. They were like, "Who's driving the van right now?" Because they, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and somebody just felt like driving to the next show. So they could have just thought that it was the vocalist driving now. And it's luckily, somebody was like, wait, no, we're all still sleeping in the benches. And there's only 3 of them in the band, so it's easy to keep track of everybody.
Right.
So I guess Ryan, their drummer, climbed up over the bunks and went to go jump at the guy. The guy jumped out of the van while it was still moving.
Oh, jeez.
And took their GPS and a knife and some other stuff. And then they threw the van in park, and they were like, what the heck just happened? Yeah.
Dude, that is one of the craziest stories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
If you want to talk gear, Ryan Onkenbauer from Bungler. I don't think they're really a band anymore. They're doing shows here and there, but he does sound for a bunch of bands. He does sound for Era and stuff like that. He's got he's a super huge gearhead. He was doing a thing for a while where he would have both guitar cabs and bass all coming from his one rig, and he could mute things with like a pedal that he made himself, so he could like have just the left guitar cab going or just the bass going, or I don't know. It's very neat stuff. And everybody thought that he was backtracking bass, and I was like, you guys don't get it. He's incredible. You don't get
it. No, he's doing it. You don't understand. So was he playing guitar and using different pedals to get the bass tones?
He actually did it both ways. So he used the pitchfork and like split the signal that way. So he used a guitar for part of the set and pitchfork down an octave, and then would switch to bass and pitchfork up an octave.
Ah, that's super rad.
Yeah, very cool stuff. Yeah.
I've never heard them. I have to check that out.
Yeah, very neat stuff.
That's dope. All right, man. Here we go. We've now actually gotten to the point in the show where I'm supposed to do this. I jumped the gun before, but here we go. We're in the classic question territory.
All right.
What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Yeah, I texted you about this. Like August, after he told me that, I was like, man, that is such a hard question. And there was like a couple that initially jumped out at me. Like one of the first times that I went to a show, I saw somebody using a Boss, either DD3 or DD5 or DD7. I was too young to know which one it was. But that was one of the first times that I saw a pedal, and I was like, that thing makes cool noises. I want to make cool noises, you know? And it was like, it wasn't just like a distortion or something like that. But the pedal that I'm going to go with that's my favorite is the Boss SD1 Super Overdrive, because that is what Claudio used on the Shibuti records, and that's what made me like, that was like part of my big tone search. And I've had one. I don't have it on my board now, but I used it for the past 2 records, and it's just been, it's been a consistent pedal sound in my life for a long time. So that's my favorite.
The SD1, I think you made a good pull. That's a good choice.
It's got like solid, this like weird like harsh bite to it, like it's, I don't know, I like it.
No, it's a great pedal. I love the SD1. It's a very, very, very cool circuit. Good choice. Now, I wonder if you were stressing about this question more than the Boss question. I'm not sure, but
I already know my answer to this question, and I don't think anybody's gonna like it.
Okay, here we go. What's your favorite pizza?
All right, a plain slice of cheese pizza with yellow mustard on it.
Oh, no. All right. Actually, I don't know if I love mustard.
Cool. Like, see, some people are hit or miss, like love or hate it. I'm a big fan of mustard. That's been my, especially I
have a whole,
if the pizza's been sitting out for a day, like if it's been like in the fridge overnight and then I reheat it and then put mustard on it, that's even better than the first time.
Really?
I don't know what it is. That's how I've always felt.
You go with like French's, just like classic yellow mustard?
Classic yellow mustard, yeah.
I'm sure that I can see some people like throwing up in their mouths right now, but
yeah, I'm sure like some like real Italian would be like, you're ruining the gravy, like
you had the hand motion and everything. That's so good.
That's what Peo would say. The gravy. My drummer Peo, he's like Italian, like has family in Italy and stuff, and he thinks it's sacrilegious,
Yeah, it's understandable. But my love of mustard might make this work.
Yeah.
I'll have to try it and let you know. But I do love a good plain cheese slice. And I don't know if I would go with the straight French's. I think I might try a nice stone ground or something, maybe a spicy brown.
Yeah, spicy brown's still good. I prefer the yellow. I don't know why, but any kind of mustard's cool with me.
All right. You're a mustard enthusiast?
Yeah, man. Horseradish mustard, too. Love that.
Oh, dude. Horseradish mustard is awesome. I love horseradish mustard. Oh, now we're on a totally different tangent with this podcast. Mustards.
Yeah, I recently become vegetarian, like within the past like month or two. So I feel like I don't eat mustard on things nearly as often as I used to. Because it used to be like any kind of like ham or bacon or, any type of like meat sandwich, slap mustard on there. And it's like, now it's like, I don't know. I don't eat it as much.
How are you going to get your mustard fix? A man needs his mustard.
The cheese pizza, man. The cheese pizza.
I love it, dude. Well, this has been a very fun conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you for coming on. This is really fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having August. Thank you for all your help with the string joy stuff, man. It's been amazing. Very, very, very.
Of course.
About everything.
Of course. Well, I'm stoked to see you guys when you come to Portland, depending on when you get into town. Time-wise, we'll maybe have you come by the shred shed or something. We'll see what we can do.
That would be so sick. I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
For Alex, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks. There you have it. There's another one all wrapped up with a nice, shiny little bow on it. I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. And if you would like more, we've got premium content for you. Oh, yes, we do. And by we, I mean me, because I'm literally the only one sitting here right now. But there is more over on Patreon and under the Apple subscription tab. So if either of those things tickle your fancy and you are at all able to, I would really appreciate it. For $5 a month, you get extra conversations beamed directly to your ears every week. And honestly, it helps out so much. So thank you for everyone that is supporting on those platforms. The Apple subscription thing is finally proving that my theory was correct, that it's just easier for some people. So thank you to everyone who has signed up through that. And again, I'm working on adding back catalog stuff. Over on Patreon, there's a ton of back catalog stuff because I've been able to do this for a very long time. Whereas the Apple subscription thing is kind of new, and it's going to take me several months because I have to literally manually upload every single bonus episode to Apple. They did not make it as seamless as I would have hoped they would, but we're working through it. And all of the new ones, so every new episode will be there. Every new bonus episode will be up on Apple as well as Patreon. If you're subscribed on Patreon, nothing's changing for you. All of that is still the same. All groovy. I just wanted to give another plug for the Apple subscribers because it's very, very easy to just click that button and you don't have to swap platforms and all that. So anyway, I think that's probably it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please check out that Kaonashi GoFundMe if you can. And if not, spreading the word, just like you do with this podcast, is immensely helpful. So please check that out if you're able. And with all of that, I'll see you next time. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.